Well, hello, IDS 105 students, and welcome to week 3 here in the IDS 105 Learning Community. Today's Learning Community webinar, we are going to focus in on the topic of cultural fluency, which is the concepts you're covering here in Module 3 for IDS 105. And we're going to talk about your assignments this week, really focusing on that project part 2. As always, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. A couple of webinar reminders. SNHU Connect and these webinars and the First Year Experience YouTube pages are all academic spaces. So always be mindful of your conduct when you are messaging, making comments, or posting. These webinars are not graded. So the Learning Community webinars and the focus videos are here just to support your success. So again, they're not graded, they're not required. But every week we will go over how to do your assignments and concepts that you are working on in your IDS 105 course. Now, we are now in the third week of the term. So by now, y'all know just how important it is to make sure that you are reading those course announcements. Your instructors will put tips for your success, reminders. They might even go over and clarify some of the concepts or topics you're talking about from week to week. So don't miss out on reading those course announcements. Also, always make sure that you're checking that University SNHU email. And if you have found yourself stuck, overwhelmed, you've fallen behind, you've missed an assignment or two, or you just need some extra support, make sure that you reach out to your faculty as soon as possible with any questions or needs that you might have. That way we can help you be successful and create a plan that'll keep you on track or get you back on track, okay? So here in week 3, module 3, you have 2 assignments. You are going to be completing another piece of that project and working on project part 2. And then you're going to have a discussion assignment. So a couple of just quick assignment reminders, and then I'll go through your assignments and the topics for this week. Is remember, for those project draft assignments, you want to make sure you have Microsoft Word or something compatible to be able to open up that template and type directly in it, okay? Video note submissions are not permitted for project drafts. And as a reminder, if you don't have a Word document or something capable or something compatible, Office 365 you get for free as an SNHU student. So make sure that you have that Microsoft Word, which that is a piece of Office 365. That way you can open up the template for your project drafts, type right in them, and submit them. Make sure you're paying attention to which questions you are answering for the project draft because you're only answering questions for Module 3. And I wanted to let you know too that this project draft is due by Sunday of week 3, module 3. You also have that discussion assignment. As always, when you have discussion assignments, those initial discussion posts are due by Thursdays, and then responding to at least 2 of your classmates or those peer responses are due by Sunday. Again, you can always work earlier in the week as convenient for your schedule, but just make sure initial discussion post by Thursday, peer responses, minimum of 2, and that project draft are due by Sunday. This week's topic here in week 3, module 3 for IDS 105 is cultural fluency. So what does that mean? What does it mean to be culturally fluent? What is cultural fluency? For some of you, you may be like, I totally get this. And others of you, you might be like, this is a whole new term for me. So let's break it down a little bit. When someone is said to have cultural fluency, it means that they can effectively navigate different communication styles across cultures. So this is somebody who understands the customs, beliefs, values, attitudes, and behaviors of people from all different cultures. For many of you, this might be new. Maybe you don't have a lot of diversity or you aren't familiar with other cultures. Some of you might be very familiar with a bunch of different cultures and others are kind of somewhere in between. So being culturally fluent just makes what that means is that you have a greater understanding of different cultures, and you're able to just kind of more effectively navigate communication styles. You can navigate differences of opinion or differences of thought because you're able to include all of the things that you know about the different cultures. So that is cultural fluency kind of in a nutshell. So this week, your discussion assignment centers in on that topic of cultural fluency. So you want to think a minute about yourself. What is your experience with other cultures? Do you know a lot about other cultures? Do you only know a little? Where are you kind of at? Your very first discussion question you're going to answer here for week 3 is, what are some ways that your knowledge of cultural fluency can benefit your self-awareness? The second question is, in what kinds of situations could you use your knowledge of cultural fluency and self-awareness? So an example is given here in the discussion. Different cultures have different concepts of time and time management. So how could being culturally fluent or being aware of other cultures help you navigate situations where maybe you and your friend or a colleague or somebody else view time or time management differently? That's an example. You can come up with something else that you have personal experience with, but you're really just thinking about what you know about cultural fluency. Why is it important to be self-aware of different cultures? And what kind of situations could this knowledge, benefit you? Or maybe you have things you want to learn about. Make sure you answer the questions, write in complete sentences. It's always helpful to give examples or more details. And don't forget, you have that academic support team written feedback tool to use for your success too. Initial discussion post due Thursday, write back to at least 2 of your classmates by Sunday or before. The other assignment you have this week is a project draft. So this is your second project draft. Remember, you have a template you're working with. You're going to go under module 3, and underneath that project draft assignment, you're going to open up that same template that you use in week 2. So last week in week 2, module 2, you picked a scenario, either school, personal, or workplace, or you might have created your own scenario. Whatever you picked or created, you are sticking with that same one all term long as you work on the different project drafts, okay? So if you're not sure what you wrote if you created your own, go back and look at what you submitted for week 2. But remember, whatever scenario you picked, you want to use that scenario and then draw upon any personal or professional experiences to help you answer the questions. As always, you can find the project template underneath the assignment area in the what to submit. And if you need a refresher on what those scenarios were, click on the project scenarios document, okay? For project part 2, you're only answering 2 questions. It is the part 2, elevating your cultural fluency. It'll say complete this section in module 3. So for this week on your project draft, you're thinking about the scenario that you picked or the scenario that you created if you did create your own, and you want to answer number 1, describe how cultural fluency benefits your self-awareness, thinking about the scenario and using examples and experiences. And then question 2, describe how to demonstrate cultural fluency in your chosen scenario. Okay, those are the 2 questions due by Sunday. Before I go into the classroom space and show you kind of like where the assignments are for week 3, module 3, I wanted to just take a minute and remind you that as you're getting into week 3, module 3, you might be kind of settling into a routine or kind of getting used to what you need to do to be able to get everything done for school, or you might be struggling a little bit. And that's okay, because sometimes when we add school to an already busy schedule, we have to kind of like find our way. But the biggest thing to know is you are not alone here at SNHU. If you're stuck, if you have questions, if you've fallen behind or something's come up, you want to make sure that you connect for your success. And I like to remind students to always push that easy button and ask for assistance or ask for help. A lot of times students are very nervous to reach out to their instructors or even use some of the resources that are here at SNHU. The biggest thing I want you to know is your instructors, your faculty, everybody here wants you to be successful. We are here because you are here, right? Without students, we wouldn't have a university. But the biggest thing for you to know is that we want you to be successful. We want you to reach out and ask questions if you're stuck, if you need to get caught up, whatever that you might need so that we can make a plan for your success. I know sometimes students are like, well, I don't want to bother anybody. They're busy. Please communicate with us, connect with us, or maybe you asked for help and it didn't go very well or had like a negative experience. Let's change that and rewrite that narrative so that you know what you need and get the support for your success. Now, you can access the SNHU resources, which is the departments and teams and people here at SNHU, So many different ways. You can access them via My SNHU. You can access them from Brightspace, and I'll show you that here in a second. Every department here at SNHU has a phone number you can call. Every department here at SNHU has an email address. Same with your faculty. Every faculty member has an email address. Advisors have an email address. You can always check that My Instructor announcement in your classroom and see how your instructor best communicates. Sometimes they'll give you like a phone number that might be a personal phone number or a message, a number that you can text message. Sometimes they'll set up like FaceTimes or even like Teams meetings if there's something that might need to be discussed in that manner. Plus, you always have different webinars that might be available to you, especially with the IDS 105 learning community. It just gives you kind of that extra support on assignments and where to click and how to find things, okay? I want to point out just a couple of things that students have come up throughout the term and just remind you that you are not going to be the first student that has ever had a situation happen. We want you to be successful. So for example, ask early. So if you are somebody that maybe has a life event coming up, like maybe your work schedule is going to change, or you're getting married, or you're going to be out of town, or baby's going to come early, or baby's going to come later than you thought, or whatever it might be, but you know that something is coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks, don't wait until the week before to ask. If you have questions about it or want to plan for it, ask early, because that way you can plan for your success. I always like to give the example too, like if you have questions on this, the project draft, the final project that you're working on, don't wait, ask now, okay? Always ask when you don't understand. A lot of times for many of you, you've been out of the classroom for a hot minute. Or maybe you've never been in an online classroom. And so sometimes we're just not sure like where to click or how to find something or if we're doing something right. So always reach out and ask when you don't understand. Your faculty member may not be able to get you everything or to answer every question, but they can refer you to the departments or the people or the resources that can support your success and can answer those questions, okay? Also, don't forget about your advisors. Your advisors are a wealth of information and they can always connect you to different university resources. I like to remind students too to always reach out, connect, and ask when there's a situation. This could be, I have had students that have had health issues during the term. I have had students that have lost a loved one during the term. We have had natural disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, loss of electricity, laptops that have gotten broken. We have students that work from their phones and the toddler got a hold of their phone and flushed it down the toilet, things like that, crazy things that happen. A situation has happened. So how can we support you when something goes on? That's why I always tell y'all, write down your instructors and advisors every term. Write down their names, write down their phone numbers, write down their email addresses. That way you can reach out if something comes up or if you want to plan for something. I also like to remind students to reach out and connect when you're frustrated. Like if you can't find something or something's not working right, let us know, because then we can see what's going on. Sometimes there's technical snafus. Sometimes there was just maybe a setting that might have been wrong on your system. I've had to have the help desk get involved and look at students like access to things before, because there was some weird little quirk that they couldn't see an assignment maybe. So things can happen. So just ask, reach out, and just remember to connect for your success, because the biggest thing we want you to know here at SNHU is you are not alone and you're not doing this alone. And I love this quote by Liz Lamore. Sometimes asking for help is the bravest move you can make. You don't have to go it alone. You have a lot of resources and support at your fingertips here at SNHU. So just reach out, connect, advocate for your success, and just know that we are supporting you all the way, okay? This quick image is just kind of a list of some of the people and departments, both here at the university and then outside the classroom space too, that I like to highlight. This is not a comprehensive list, but here at SNHU, very popular services that are offered by academic support is the 24/7 drop-in tutoring. That is for all the classes here at the university, and also written feedback. So written feedback is more specific to writing. So when you have any kind of a writing assignment, discussion assignment, journal assignment, project draft, anything that's SNHU writing, you can write up your rough draft, you can upload it to the written feedback service and select the areas you want the tutor to focus on, and they'll give you dedicated feedback to those pieces that you're looking for, okay? It really is so helpful for those writing assignments, especially if you want to feel more confident in them or just want another set of eyes on things, okay? The learning community webinars are always here, plus those focus videos. IDS 105 is one of the classes here at SNHU that has that dedicated learning community space. So give the webinars a watch if you're stuck on something, or check out those focus videos, because we walk you through all the things. SNHU Career, your academic advisor knows all the things and all the people. Help desk for anything technical. The library is amazing, amazing for anything that might be research-based, or if you're struggling with citations. Also just like to read and want to get a library book. Incredible team there. SNHU Connect is where you can find the IDS 105 learning community, but also clubs and organizations. And SNHU Wellness is a wonderful resource that I think students don't even realize is there sometimes. It can really help you with managing anxiety and stress. And it's just a quick, convenient click away just to get some extra guidance and support. Okay. And then of course, outside the classroom, y'all have so many different support systems. It could be loved ones like spouses, partners, parents, kids. You're the one that makes all this happen. Pets count, any mentors, work people that you have, or colleagues, or best friend, extended family. Just keep in mind who supports you genuinely and keep them really close. And remember that you have all these teams here at SNHU that are really pulling for your success, okay? What I want to do real quick is just take you into the classroom space and show you everything for Module 3. But before I do that, I want to remind you that up here at the top, my toolbar looks just a little bit different than y'all's because I'm an instructor, so don't get nervous if it looks just a little bit different. But I wanted to remind you the library is right here, and here is academic support. I always like to click on academic support and just remind you that when you pull up the services, here's that drop-in tutoring, here's that written feedback where you can upload and submit that draft and have the select the areas you want the tutor to focus on, and they'll give you that feedback. There's also a ton of workshops on all kinds of different topics. These are always great for students to check out. If you need something maybe a little bit more one-on-one, or have some different academic needs or things that you might need, you might want to think about peer tutoring or the academic coaching. You can schedule those meetings or partner with a coach to find out more information, but those are great resources for students and your success. I also wanted to remind you under the help, if you click that down arrow, you can quickly get to the IT service desk, but there's also these student tutorial videos where if you click on the student tutorial videos, it will open up a YouTube page that has everything about Brightspace. So how to do discussion boards, feedback and grades, my SNHU overview, how to find my graded feedback. There's just a ton of stuff that is in there. And I always like to make sure that students know that that is there. Also, you have online student services. That is that space that I was telling you that pulls up all the different departments. And we are literally just a click away for your success. So right here, click the blue, that's where you want to go. Anything from the bookstore to IT to advising, to the library, student financial services, SNHU Connect, the career services. Also, here's that Office 365 and other software. Click the blue, follow the prompts, and you can get that Microsoft Word and those other tools on your system. Okay. Now, as a reminder, click on course menu, go to learning modules. When you do that, you want to look for the week that we're on. We're on module 3. I always remind students, click the blue, click through your introduction, okay? Because there is so much actual reading within your module. So you'll always have the introduction, which goes over kind of the module overview and objectives. And as you scroll down, make sure you arrow over, because then it's going to pull up reading that is within your module. And often a lot of the topics and concepts you're covering are, yes, in your textbook chapters and things for required resources, but there's a lot that's right in here within your module. And often students miss this. So I wanted to point that out. So you'll notice there's a lot of reading in here. Don't forget about that. Not a lot, but a significant amount. And it's really helpful to understand the concepts. And then you'll get to your required resources section with any assigned chapters you want to read, any extra links or videos that might be able to support your success. So I wanted to make sure I just remind you of that. Then you'll see your discussion assignment on cultural fluency. Again, here's the questions that we're answering. Y'all know to just start a new thread, type up your thoughts. That's one of the best things about how quick you can just get to things, right? Module 3, you will see 2. So that discussion assignment, remember, initial post due Thursday, peer responses, at least 2 classmate responses by Sunday. And then that 3-2 project part 2, elevating your cultural fluency. Click on guidelines and rubric. When you do that, it pulls up an overview of the assignment, just like always, right? Right here under what to submit is you'll see the project template. When you click on that, it opens up a document that looks kind of like this, but you will not have any of the highlights. This is just for me to be able to show you that last week in module 2, you picked your scenario and you answered the questions under part 1, social justice, right? So you already have that part filled out. This is part 2, this part that I highlighted in green. Part 2, elevating your cultural fluency, complete this section of module 3. You only have these 2 questions, okay? So what I tell students is go back into that module 2 document that you submitted to be graded, open that up. make it, look at your instructor feedback, make any changes that were necessary, but then work on the next section. That way you can just keep this running document as you work from week to week in the project drafts. Now, some of you are like, I don't like the template. I created my own document. That's fine. Totally fine. You can be creative. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you have all pieces and parts and you don't forget any of the questions. Okay. So again, you're only answering part 2, elevating your cultural fluency. And there's only 2 questions there for this week. Okay. Just a reminder too, if you need a refresher on those project scenarios, click on project scenarios. And then, of course, don't forget to review the rubric. Scroll through this because it helps you understand how you're going to be graded. Y'all, that's it for week 3, module 3. So you had a discussion assignment, you got that next project draft. If you get stuck, if you need anything, if you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to your instructor or your SNHU advisor. You can always pop a question in the IDS 105 Learning Community too. Remember, your instructor is the one who grades your work. So if you have questions specifically to your assignment or how you did on something, or if you turned something in, or if you can make something up, you want to make sure you get with your instructor. Y'all, the halfway point of the term is around the corner. So you're doing great. Hang in there. Connect with your resources if you're stuck or need anything. And just remember, you got this.